The 50 billion is a good start. We'll continue to engage with our National Assembly stakeholders who will hold in high esteem, as well as the Budget Office. In fact, I have set up a stakeholders management team led by the Honorable Minister of State, who will soon join us, and the Permanent Secretary, in whom I'm well pleased to ensure that we are proactive in carrying critical stakeholders along in all our activities. What I have been advocating for in line with the renewal agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR is that as a country and as a government, we must prioritize housing as a catalyst for economic growth. Investment in housing and urban development is not only a moral necessity, but also an economic imperative. When we provide people with decent homes and build livable communities, we are not only improving their quality of life, but making them proud and patriotic Nigerians. But we are also developing the economy and ensuring national security. Under the Renewed Hope agenda, Mr. President listed housing as a critical infrastructure in the same category as roads, bridges, and others. What we are engaging with relevant ministries and stakeholders in government to correct the continuing mismatch between the required interventions in housing and the budgetary allocation. It's a great irony that housing still receives only a fraction of what is allocated to other similar infrastructure sectors, despite its massive potential as a catalyst for economic growth. So as stakeholders, you will agree that there have been several attempts by previous administrations over the past 50 years to fix Nigeria's housing problems. If you look at the state of the housing sector today, you will see that the results are not encouraging. We have a huge housing deficit, with the majority of Nigeria's 43 million households living in substandard housing. Additionally, the majority of our cities are surrounded by slums. Our sector is one that has suffered political neglect since the period immediately after independence, when emphasis was placed on the 5-year developmental plans as the vehicle for economic growth. So under the Renewed Hope agenda, we are determined to make a difference. We are optimistic and encouraged by the possibilities the future holds, rather than failures of the past. Just because programs failed in the past does not mean they will fail today. As you all know, leaders matter in the history of nation building, and what they bring to the table also matters. That is what Mr. President represents, and we intend to replicate his can-do spirit at the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, together with all stakeholders, to rewrite the history of housing and urban development. We want the renewed hope era for housing to be the reference point for generations to come for massive and comprehensive housing and urban development. We deliberately choose actualizing the renewed hope agenda for housing and urban development as a theme for this retreat. At this retreat, we aim to review what we have done so far toward actualizing Mr. President's renewed hope agenda for housing and urban development. We want to interrogate our challenges and successes, explore opportunities, and set out a clear pathway to ramp up the tempo of our activities. For the sake of establishing immediate context, it is important that I lay out the action plan which Mr. President handed to us when we assumed duty. This includes increasing the supply and availability of decent and affordable housing to Nigerians, implementing land reforms to improve land administration, thereby unlocking the capacity of the real estate sector to contribute to economic growth and grow the gross domestic products. Also, to reforming the federal housing institutions, including the Federal Housing Authority, FHA, and the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, to better deliver on their mandates. I'm happy the Chairman Senate Committee on Land, Housing, and Urban Development has started advocating for funding from the budget, funding the Federal Housing Authority to deliver more affordable social housing to Nigerians. Thank you for that. Also establishing a national social housing fund to mobilize and administer concessionary funding for the provision of decent shelter, for no income, low income, underprivileged, and internally displaced Nigerians. Establishing also the manufacturing hubs, one in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Number 6 is implementing the multi-agency project delivery framework to ensure proper coordination among all housing institutions in the delivery of housing, ensuring alignment among the same focus. Last but not the least, expanding the National Urban Renewal and Slum Upgrade Program. So the question I ask myself is, how much progress have we made toward achieving these goals so far? If history were our reference point, we would say that we are doing well. The biggest achievement of the 8 years before we came on the board was the National Housing Program, which started in 2016, with plans to build 7,522 housing units. Over the 8 years, only 3,388 were completed. On our part, within 17 months, we have 14 active construction sites for a total of 10,112 housing units. The phase of work at these sites, many are already about to start painting. We are on course to have all these units and more completed within the maximum 2 years remaining for us. However, history is not on our reference point. The size of the housing problem, which requires for us to build at least 550,000 housing units annually, is what we have set our eyes on. On this front, we are not even scratching the surface. Regarding the ministerial deliverables of increasing the supply of at least 20,000 housing units annually, which is our immediate target, we can say that with the 10,112 housing units under construction in 14 locations nationwide, we are making progress. Another area we are making good progress is in the reforming the land administration system in our country. This is a long-standing problem that has been listed in all policies and white papers on housing since independence over 50 years ago. The aim is to develop an effective land administration system to make land ownership available, secure, accessible, and easily transferable at affordable rates. First, we set up the Land Reform Tax Team, which has submitted a comprehensive blueprint on strategies and initiatives that the ministry can implement to achieve effective governance on lands in our country. This is a subject of deliberation at this summit. Second, we are currently working with the World Bank in partnership with the state governments toward the implementation of the National Land Registration and Titling Program. The plan is to increase the formalization of land transactions in the country by 50% over a 10-year period. This will unlock over $150 billion in debt capital and help increase Nigeria's GDP by 30%. The World Bank was here on the first technical mission in November last year and is scheduled to return for the second mission in early March. On institutional reforms, the establishment of a national social housing fund and the building material manufacturing hubs, we have received the report of the task team, reviewed their recommendations internally, and are clear on the next steps. This position will also be presented here at the retreat for additional inputs from stakeholders. Additionally, we have upscaled and expanded our National Urban Renewal and Slum Upgrade Program in line with the urban development component of our mandate. We currently have over 100 projects completed in several locations nationwide to improve the livability of Nigerians in semi-urban, rural, and villages. 2025 will be an action year for us as the ministry. We aim to move with speed to get all these reforms off the ground. However, this is not only possible, this is only possible with your support and input. We have a big housing problem and we intend to approach fixing it in a big way. Small efforts will not take us anywhere. We are fully aware that a key part of the ministry's mandate is policy formulation. In this direction, we have also made notable progress. The ministry worked with UN Habitat to produce the National Urban Development Policy. which is pending presentation and approval by the Federal Executive Council. The policy outlines a framework for coordinating a 10-year program of action for sustainable urbanization in our country. Through this, we aim to domesticate and customize the goals of signed international policies, operationalize national policies in multiple sectors, and create cities that work for all residents. The National Urban Development Program is prepared with the objective of harnessing well-managed urbanization as an engine of growth for the national economy. We have also exhaustively studied the National Housing Strategy Report 2023, which was launched by my predecessor. I must acknowledge that the team that developed it in Lazem was FMDQs, PwC, and several other members of the ministry and the industry did a thorough job. It's a well-researched ministry-sponsored research and strategy paper on housing. However, because of most of the data was used was from 2019, and so much has changed within the macroeconomic environment, especially in the 3 years we are looking to review and update it. Furthermore, we are working to create a framework for the establishment of the Real Estate Regulatory Authority. I must give credit and acknowledgement and acknowledge the tireless efforts and advocacy of the National Assembly for the initiative. We consider it necessary and are committed to working with the House Committee and all stakeholders to actualize it. We have also taken note and we are working on the ways and strategies to ensure that Nigerians use properties only as designated in city plans. This is also a key point of concern for the Honorable Chairman, House Committee on Urban Development and Regional Planning, Honorable Dr. Abiante. We shall be engaging with the committee also to actualize this as well. In conclusion, distinguished guests and stakeholders, this retreat marks a pivotal moment in our collective journey to transform Nigeria's housing and urban development landscape. The discussions, insights, and collaborations we will foster here over the next 2 days will reaffirm our shared commitment to the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR. As we discuss, engage, and share ideas at this retreat, let us carry with us the spirit of urgency, innovation, and collaboration. Let us remember that housing is not just a roof over one's head, it is a foundation for economic growth, social stability, and national pride. Together, we have the power to rewrite the narrative of housing urban development in Nigeria. God bless the federal people of Nigeria. God bless you all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give the Honorable Minister another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen. Let me also announce the presence of the Honorable Minister of State, Right Honorable Yusuf Abdullahi Atta. Honorable Minister, you are welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, by our program, the official ceremonial opening has come to a close. After the tea break, go on technical presentations. So is it time for tea break? We now arrange.